Today on the History of Jazz Homework by yours truly, I'm going to teach you guys about the jazz music, the three different types of jazz music, including cool jazz, hard bop, and bebop music. Now the first is actually going to be bebop music, which actually was from 1945 to 1950. Not to be confused with the Cowboy Bebop anime series, which I definitely recommend if you like anime shows. One of the pioneers for bebop was Charlie Parker. The other one was Dizzy Gillespie, at least from the textbook. Now, the origins of bebop music was actually formed in these little small jam sessions by a group of different people. You had associates of people that liked jazz music, but they wanted to kind of have their own. People that were interested in hearing jazz music, as in fans. And, of course, young jazz players that were totally not into the dance commercial music that they'd hear on the radio. Most of these people, the jazz players, the associates, and fans or interested people in jazz, were dissatisfied or pretty much ignored the commercial dance music types that was out there on the radio. So they kind of formed their own kind of style of bebop jazz. Now, the bebop musicians were actually the first to view themselves as artists, not entertainers. Because everything is subjective in our world, some of these people in this picture are artists and some are entertainers. It's up to you to decide, because everything is subjective and we all see things differently sometimes, which is fine. Now, the era that the bebop music was actually active, was World War II. You had booming sales in the fashion industry, cigarettes, diners, even the automobile industry was booming at the time. So you had all this going on during the bebop music, so that might have been why the bebop music was popular. One of the people to talk about bebop, definitely quoting him here, Miles Davis, who actually said that bebop jazz is about the change through its evolution. Basically what he's saying is that there was a lot of improvisation in bebop, and they didn't really have like a certain style for it because it was something new. Another person to talk about it was Duke Ellington. To quote him, he said, "It's like playing Scrabble without the vowels." For the record, I've never played Scrabble, and I'm pretty sure in writing we got to correct that grammar, so maybe we shouldn't use bebop music for writing. Next up would be cool jazz, which started in 1950 to 1955. And no, it has nothing to do with being cool, although everything's subjective. The style of cool jazz was actually more relaxed and a lighter style compared to bebop jazz. Definitely cool jazz was not rough around the edges. The style directly opposed or went against the bebop style. So that's kind of what made it more of a mellowy jazz. I think we have a lot of cool jazz nowadays. Now, the era historically that it was in was the Cold War. Now, during this Cold War, of course, we were doing the whole space race. We were dealing with communism and, of course, segregation. Now, these musicians in the cool jazz era had to deal with not only segregation, but, the Cold War going on. Now, one of the biggest pioneers for cool jazz music was a man named Norman Granz. He actually was an organizer, a producer, a tour manager, and a concert manager or creator. And he pretty much started this place called the Philharmonic. Now, he actually believed in having black and white musicians play together, whether you were male or female or not. He did not tolerate racism. He wanted to give fair, good products to the customers like us who would buy these records, and he also wanted to make profits also. So he sort of was, all those reasons he was a pioneer. So they pretty much played a lot of cool jazz, back then. Now, the third is hard bop. And a lot of people don't know that hard bop is actually originated in 1955 to 1960. A lot of people think that llamas are similar to hard bop music, where llamas are aggressive just like hard bop music is aggressive with its rhythms. Hard bop actually falls into a lot of black musicians like Art Blakey, Sonny Rollins, and of course John Coltrane, who actually inspired John Legend, supposedly. I definitely recommend Sonny Rollins, Art Blakey, and John Coltrane. Their music is really good for hard bop music, if you're into that style. Now, the influences for hard bop were actually a mix of a couple different genres of music. Gospel music, which you'd never really think that. Of course, 50s rock being really popular at the time. And, of course, blues music, which was interesting. Now, the hard bop, being that it had to deal with the style and everything, it definitely was stronger grooves, backbeats, stuff like that. The background music was a lot more stronger compared to cool jazz or bebop music. So that's pretty much the differences between hard bop music, cool jazz, and bebop. I definitely recommend hard bop music more than bebop and jazz, in my opinion. But everything is subjective. So there you go. That's for the class. Hope you guys learned a little bit. And I look forward to seeing the rest of your guys' homework. And happy holidays. Thanks for watching.